I know.
Hey guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome you all to the regularly scheduled council meeting of governing body of Spring Hill, Kansas on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. We don't have a pastor here this evening to do the invocation, so if you guys will stand with me, I'll go ahead and do it tonight. Father God, thank you for bringing us here one more evening, God, to serve you, God, and serve the community. I just pray that you would help us to make the best decisions for each and every citizen, God, and just bless everything we talk about tonight. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Mr. Young,
Here.
Mr. Peel,
Here.
Mr. Van Houten,
Here.
Mrs. Feback. Here. Mr. Grant.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. We did have a request to add executive session number 2 for the preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real property exception. Are there any other questions or comments or any changes on that? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to citizen participation. This is time when the public can come and speak about whatever they would like to speak about. We just ask that you step up and state your name and your address. We just had one person sign up, and Mr. Bill Peterman. We can always count on you.
Oh, gotta keep it on there. Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. Last time I talked about Ridgeview, and when I looked at the minutes, it said at the high school. And I made sure that I said not at the high school. It's down from 191st south to where the high school starts. So, and no one's ever contacted me. We've talked about what the county's gonna do, because part of that's county. I don't know, we come up here and bitch and never get any answers. That's wrong. We need to get somebody to contact us, let us know what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is 5 years ago, Chief, was it 5 years ago, 7 years ago? That we brought up, because they had the 7 accidents by the grade school, right? It was 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, history teaches us, if we pay attention, to eliminate problems. That's what I'm trying to do, is eliminate problems. I don't want somebody to get hurt. And what it is it's a drop off. And if somebody goes over it and then tries to come back, it flips them, or it pulls them hard enough they go deeper in the ditch. So I'm just trying to get somebody to take care of it before time. So if you go from 191st and go south, it's more on the city side where the grade school's at than it is on the, but you go part way up and then it gets bad by those houses up there too. So 191st to 199th, the road on Ridgeview is bad. I'd like to see something done before the snow comes or whatever. They just did Black Bob, the county did, because it's a problem over there. So they put all just gravel in there for about 15 inches. Because when people go over the edge and try to jerk back, you have no control of your car. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I do believe after you spoke about that last time, we did instruct the Public Works to go out there and check it out. So we'll follow up with that and see where we're at on that. Anyone else? If not, we'll go ahead and close citizen participation this time and move on to the consent agenda. These are items that the staff considers to be routine maintenance, but if there are any questions or comments, now would be the time. If not, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action, and the first item on the agenda is consider approval of resolution number 2024-R-18, a resolution determining the advisability of certain improvements for the Fox Hollow Special Benefit District. And Mr. Ellsworth, you have the floor.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the first two formal council action items actually relate to each other. The first item is a resolution approving a benefit district petition for the Fox Hollow subdivision. And the second formal item is approval of a letter of credit agreement for that benefit district. And so I'll talk about both of them and then answer any questions, and then would ask you to take action on both separately following that discussion. So the Fox Hollow Benefit District is a benefit district to contribute financing that's assessed against the property owners for the internal infrastructure in that benefit district. It's not the entirety of the infrastructure, it's a portion of it, and we've worked with Mr. Sean Woods, the developer of that subdivision, to make sure that the specials are at a level that he thinks are appropriate for the homeowners in that subdivision. In addition to that, there's a second benefit district, which is not before you this evening, but which we've discussed with Mr. Woods participating in to improve 207th Street. So there's a two separate benefit districts. One that you're considering this evening for the internal infrastructure, a second benefit district, which hopefully will come to you in the next 30 to 60 days, which the Fox Hollow homeowners will participate in to improve that stretch of 207th Street. And the letter of credit agreement relates kind of to both of those, but more specifically to the internal improvements in the Fox Hollow subdivision. So Mr. Woods will put up a letter of credit to protect against the risk of unpaid special assessments. And there's also language in that letter of credit agreement making sure that he is transparent with his homeowners or prospective purchasers that there are specials on the property. So I know that was something that we've discussed at length previously in connection with prior benefit district projects. That was something that we made sure to include here, and I wanted to bring that to your attention. So happy to answer any additional questions.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things we just hit on, is wanting to make sure that it is very obvious to any homeowners exactly what their costs would incur right out of the gate versus maybe not seeing it as in the past happened. So yeah, we just want to make sure we kind of corrected that.
Is there any specifics of what they have to do as far as, can we add specifics of how they need to notify?
Yeah, so there's statutory requirements that are kind of a baseline. That if a property is subject to special assessments, that has to be disclosed and acknowledged in writing by any purchaser of that property. That's in here, but in addition to that, we have a requirement that all marketing materials for the subdivision, billboards, websites, brochures, things like that, have language that say the homes are subject to special assessment.
Okay, cool, that's what I was,
That's kind of what we're looking for, because everybody knows that's bought a house when you're signing paperwork.
yeah.
You know, it might be required to be in that paperwork, but you're signing a packet of paperwork for, 400 or 500 pages, and you're most likely not going to read every single one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or people get to the signing table and realize it, and then they feel like they have to still go through because they don't want to
Yeah,
lose out on what they've already spent money on.
Yep.
Right.
The other thing I had brought up, and I don't know if we ever went anywhere with it, but on the benefit districts, I was kind of interested in requiring a little bit more stringent, materials for road work and things like that. Do we ever talk about that? As far as increasing, like saying concrete roads instead of asphalt, so they have longer lifespans, things like that?
We don't have that detail in here, and we haven't really had those discussions yet. We probably need to sit down with Mr.
Yeah.
Woods and staff and talk exactly about which improvement, because we pay for a portion of the streets, but we're not gonna pay for all the streets, and there's gonna be a lot of coordination there. With respect to the materials, that can be part of those discussions. I think that there are probably estimates that he has already, and
Based off
here
of
he can speak to that, yeah, so I don't know. what the
And that's not
actual-
anything specific to this. I was talking before about how I wanted to talk about if we were gonna give help in the route of special assessments, we should try to see how much longer we can get useful life out of what materials they use up front, since we're kinda helping them. So I know this one, it may not work for, but I would say going forward, I'd like to see stuff like that in there.
Yep, that's helpful feedback.
'Cause I know we haven't put any hard verbiage to that yet.
Yeah, we've definitely discussed it before.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, concrete would be a lot better option, but also it's, a significant larger cost. So.
Yeah.
For sure.
But in the long term, it'd definitely be a better option.
Yep.
Outside of that, the signage was my big thing, so it sounds like it's covered.
Any other questions or comments?
Is there gonna be any change to the, and this may not be a question for you, but to the, plat that's already approved, or the layout of the neighborhood
I'll let
from what it
Mr.
was approved before?
That's maybe a question for Mr. Woods. I don't know that there is, but I'll let him speak.
Cause I know there's a little bit of change in ownership.
We approved
Yeah.
a preliminary plat for that?
Thought we did, or was it just the,
I know it's been rezoned, that was a long time ago, but I don't know,
years ago.
I don't directly recall ever having a preliminary plat for that yet.
I thought there was RP, so there was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah,
I thought we
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Okay,
like a while ago.
Yeah, I thought it was preliminary with the rezoning. So, that's the other question, is just,
So,
is there gonna
because
be
there-
changes to that?
And because there hasn't been a final plat, there still might be changes regardless of this, because.
Okay,
But it'll still come.
but we have some control over that, okay, alright.
Well, and if you'd like to hear from Mr. Woods about what his plans are.
Sure,
This is,
I would.
that's totally appropriate. So,
Okay, cool.
Hello, I'm Sean Woods with Ashlar Homes. We, office is at 2800 Northwest Hunter Drive in Blue Springs, Missouri. So I'll speak to the preliminary plat and the final plat. We don't have any plans to make any changes to what you've already approved. So
Okay.
the construction drawings are all approved. Our plan is to, if this is approved tonight, we would close in January and start construction immediately on the first plat. And then so far, no plans for anything, even in the preliminary plat that has already been approved, to make any changes of lot sizes or anything like that.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Is the first plat the south side or the north side?
First plat comes off of, is that Ridgeview? Ridgeview, and 61 lots off of Ridgeview, kind of meanders to the west.
Oh, okay. Is that the single family side?
Yep, it's all single family in this development.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
we
what
have
it is. Okay, I was
60,
thinking there was
60 foot lots are the smallest, frontage, and then, goes up to like 85-foot lots.
Okay,
So,
cool.
It's
All right,
been a
great.
while since we've seen it.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to remember.
yeah, it's 352 lots,
Yeah.
all single family.
I know we went back and forth on this one, and so
Yep.
I'm just trying to remember. Okay, cool.
Yeah, 'cause
Any other
the one
questions
that
from you?
turned down there.
Yeah,
First one.
yeah, yeah.
First one turned down that had multiple.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, sounds good. I was just wondering if there was any changes to the
Yep,
plats.
no plan changes.
All right,
Any
cool.
other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank you. If there are any further questions or comments, I entertain a motion.
Move to adopt resolution number 2024-R-17, determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Spring Hill, Kansas, and authorizing and providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the wait, am I on the right one? Am I on the wrong one?
Should be on 18. Like,
That's why. Yeah, my bad. I was like, this doesn't seem right. It's been a long week. (2024-R-17).
Yep,
Yeah,
18.
18.
18.
Are we not on 10? Or is it
Yeah,
kicking
we're
to
on,
the
we're
right
on
one?
10.
On 10, it's R18. Yeah, it's a resolution.
Yeah,
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, that's,
Yeah.
okay, I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm doing something.
yeah, it was the right one. It's 18 instead of 17.
The number's off.
Okay. So move to adopt resolution number 2024-R-18, determining the advisability of certain improvements in the city of Spring Hill, Kansas, and authorizing and providing for the making of such improvements in accordance with the findings of the governing body, KSA 12-6A01, Fox Hollow Special Benefit District.
Second?
Got a motion, second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. As Mr. Ellsworth said, the next item on the agenda is consider approval of a letter of credit agreement in connection with Fox Hollow Special Benefit District. And Mr. Ellsworth, you still on the floor.
Sure, no further comments, but I'm happy to answer any more specific questions about this.
So just to clarify on this one, it covers 25% of it, or is it, it's just a letter of credit for the value of 25% of the whole bond?
It's a letter of credit for 25% of the amount. You
Okay.
probably know better than I do, but I think that probably means that Mr. Woods has to put up that amount, and it's basically frozen.
Not all, it just depends on the type of letter of credit is, but, I guess I need to read through it better, but,
So that letter of credit stays in place until he has certificates of occupancy for 35% of the homes in the subdivision.
okay. That's what I was looking for. I wasn't quite sure where the cutoff was.
Yeah,
Okay, now I see that, 35. Okay, and then stair steps down, it looks like a little bit as time. Okay.
it does, and that's to make sure that we've got some bite to if there's problems with the communication about the fact that the homes are subject to specials. I don't anticipate that, but we had to have some
Yeah.
sort of mechanism, so,
I'm sure we'll keep an eye on that as time goes on. I'll keep an eye on it. I'll go and check it.
yeah. And I should say that, you know, we have these security measures in place to make sure that the city is financially protected for providing this financing.
Yeah.
None of this is to cast aspersion on Mr. Woods. He's been terrific to work with, so
yeah.
just want to put that out there. That's not, it's not sort of as a result of any course of dealing.
When I had somebody ask me about it today, and I'm like, yeah, typically we do something like this to help ensure the financing, so.
Right.
All right, cool.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve letter of credit agreement in connection with Fox Hollow Special Benefit District.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of resolution number 2024-R-19, a resolution providing for the adoption of the 2024 edition of the Employee Handbook for the City of Spring Hill, Kansas. And Mrs. Jones, you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Yes, we are here to discuss the revision to the Employee Handbook to adopt the 2024 edition. As you know, the handbook itself is just a summary of the employment and personnel policies, practices, procedures to make sure that we foster that good employer-employee relationship, as well as offer tools and relevant resources for employees so that we can be consistent in how we apply policies and providing guidance to manage the operations. So some of the updates, they were pretty minor, some language changes and some clarifying some processes, but a few key things that were changed as a result of this recent review here are highlighted there on the agenda review sheet. For the nepotism and personal relationships, we wanted to make sure we included notification of any familiar relationships developing and be able to address any non-familiar relationships that may cause conflict. In employment, we changed it so that there was no specific time or duration for the rest or break periods. Those sometimes 15-minute breaks or so that people can take that are paid, we just took that out to make sure that things could still move as far as the operations flowing easily without having a break in there. So we took that piece out of it. Compensation and classification, we added some language to include reorganization and restructures, as well as we just simply removed the language that stated that the hours worked on an observed holiday would not be counted towards overtime. So we just took that out so that it would allow those that are working on an observed holiday to have those hours count towards overtime eligibility. And then employee relations, we just clarified some general considerations for business and casual dress, and then on parental leave, we put in there that the leave must be taken within the first 12 weeks following the birth or placement. So are there any questions so far on any of that?
Not on that part, no.
Okay.
I have one, not just on what you changed, but do you have, like, upon a change, all the employees acknowledge or
Right.
attest or whatever?
So,
Okay.
right, so once we go through this, if you approve everything, then I plan on sending out either tonight or tomorrow the new book with the acknowledgements that they have to then sign and get back to me.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so then staff does recommend that the governing body approve resolution 2024-R19 for the 2024 edition of the Employee Handbook, and that will be effective as of December 12th, 2024.
Any questions for Mrs. Jones? If not, I entertain a motion.
Let's see. Move to approve resolution 2024-R-19 for the 2024 edition of the Employee Handbook to be effective December 12th, 2024.
Second.
Got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider the selection of Paycor to provide human resources and payroll services software. And
No, we skipped
Nope.
that.
There's
That's the
still
next
one.
one.
Got to.
man, I'm just skipping too fast.
Need 13.
Number 13, consider approval of resolution number 2024-R20, a resolution providing for the range of salaries of various city officers and employees of the city of Spring Hill, Kansas pursuant to section 1-401 of the Spring Hill Municipal Code. For some reason, I already marked that one off.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay. So, as part of the continued services that CBIZ offers us, they did provide an annual salary restructure and increased letter to the city in February of 2024. That staff then utilized that throughout the process when we were doing the various meetings and things for the budget to make sure that any type of adjustments that we did to either the salary ranges or the corresponding adjustments to pay for PD and the STEP plan were captured during the budget process. So what you have in front of you for consideration are basically two different options. And what we're looking at is either changing the STEP plan for police to a minimum of $60,000 for officers, or a minimum of $62,000 for the officers. And then there's a respective adjustment for the sergeants in those levels. The salary resolution for all of the other positions, excluding the ones for the aquatic center because they're seasonal and temporary, all of those ranges moved by 3.5%. A few key points that I want to point out with regard to the police department as you determine which of those options you want to go with is, as you can see on the salary resolution, I did put a quick visual summary of the differences of salary minimum and maximum with officers and sergeants throughout some of the agencies that are local to us. But just the key things to point out is that the information that was obtained by staff as well as through the recommendation of looking at CBIZ recommending a $62,000 start for officers is in line with what you see in the differences. Right now, the city is currently at $25.48 an hour for a starting pay for an officer, which is about 17% lower than the local agencies that we have. And if you exclude the 3 agencies that have a separate pay for officers that have absolutely no experience and have to go to the academy, the city's current pay is about $4.33 per hour less. And then the ranges, as far as the steps, the city currently takes about 14 years to top out, while other agencies take anywhere from 8 to 12 steps for officers. And then the city currently is at 11 years for sergeants, where other agencies take anywhere from 5 to 6. So again, the changes that we are recommending for the step plan for the officers is to get us more in line with steps not taking so long to reach to the top, as well as getting the starting pay a little bit more competitive with the market and the changes that have happened. Any questions so far? Okay. I do want to.
I do. I got a quick one.
Okay.
Just to verify, because a lot of numbers threw out real fast.
Yes.
So we're looking at going to a minimum of 60,000 starting,
Right. As one of
which
the options.
hourly equivalent of that is 28.85 ish.
Right. Around there.
So
We were at what, 25?
25.48.
so we're looking at like a 340, 350 bump. Okay.
At minimum, yes.
And we're at 53 right now.
Roughly around there, yes.
And percentage wise, it's like 13% then?
Roughly around there, yes. And so with regard to any increase options that we go with, they're all, like I said, included in the budget already. What was budgeted in there in total for changes of the base pay for the employees was about $169,201.20. And so either one of those options that you pick are below that. So we're gonna be fine there. That's not gonna change anything with the budget. The other thing for your consideration that was not included in the packet already that has been placed in front of you is the option to have the ranges start at either 60 or 62 for officers, and then also maybe put in a different step for those that we send to the academy and have them for that 16 weeks they're in the academy have a set pay of $25.48 where we currently have our officers, and then after that 4-month period or they can then change up to step 1 and then still top out at the new ranges that we have. Any questions so far?
So we're also moving away from a 1, 2, and 3, right?
That is
So
correct.
everybody will be considered the same unless they're a sergeant, lieutenant.
Correct. Is the 1, 2, and 3 that we had when we first changed to the step plan, it was really just to kind of get everyone in there. And so as the first year of going through that, we saw that was just very complicated and we wanted to simplify it down.
Okay.
So I agree with, and I've seen this before where if you are asking people to get certified or more education, that they may start out at this level or this pay, and then upon completing that, then, you know, get the increase. I guess I was really looking at this closely, and I think starting out, even though they don't have the academy, at the 53,000 is too low. I don't think that's attractive at all. Our expert in the room is our officers and our chief. But I've been around some PDs, but the PDs I've been around are further in the metro area, so I get that that's a little different. But I think starting out even without the academy at 53,000 is too low. I would say starting out at 58, and then upon completing the academy, jump to 60. That would be my recommendation, because you have to make it attractive. And I'm thinking about, you know, retention, recruitment, and all that. So 53 is way too low.
And I think I would agree with that. I think we don't want to, you know, we might not have a lot of guys go through the academy, but the ones that we would need to have go through academy, if they look at that, it might just initially be like, I don't know, I'll go,
Yeah.
you know, to a jurisdiction over here, you know, just, you know, a couple towns over or something and already get that, you know, pay through the academy a lot higher. So I would definitely say go somewhere in the middle there between the two. You know, whether it's 56, whether it's 58.
Yeah.
Well, but if we,
I can definitely appreciate whatever option that you guys want me to go with. I obviously presented just another option to get us to this point, and we can change that starting number to whatever you feel is best for the city. And I've given you the options, and I just defer to you to, you know, make your
yeah,
recommendation.
my question is, how do we handle the steps if somebody's transferring in? Can we start them at higher steps rather than,
That is the intent.
how do you
So-
guys do it now? Or,
So if we have someone that's coming into this city and they already have, say, like 3 years of experience, then we will start them at step 3.
so really the only difference would be if we did a little bit lower on a trainee, would be that one's academy trained and one's not. It's not necessarily any experience yet.
Right, and
So
we're
they're
not-
really pretty similar.
And we're not gonna plan on having them wait a full year to go to that step 1. It's as soon
Yeah.
as they pass the academy, then we would change them to the step 1, so.
Does that happen often, or is it typically either they have a couple years experience? I don't know, that'd be a chief question, but.
We have had a couple individuals that have come to us that we would, and I'll let the chief speak, but we have had a couple of individuals that would have to come to us and go through academy. It's just they never made it through our process to even get onboarded with us, so.
I was gonna say, I didn't think we had many that had to, but I'm more questioning, is there people that are putting themselves to the academy or maybe going some other way and then getting here with no experience but have the academy done, or is that? Cause then one would just become the training one anyway, if that's the case, if we don't really have that happening.
Historically, we've had one that had paid their way through the academy in Missouri because Missouri has that option. Kansas does not.
Oh, okay.
Everybody in Kansas, you're usually sponsored by the agency that hires you, and they pay your salary while you go through the academy. We've hired 3 that had to go through the academy. 2 are still with us and doing very, very well. 1 made it through the academy and did well in the academy, was even class spokesperson, and but didn't make it through the FTO program. So that person is not with us.
Okay.
Chief, I have a question for you. I also know that sometimes when we pay for training with people, and then let's say, so they have to make, and I think Lane clarified this for me. So if we pay for their academy, they have to stay with us a certain amount of time because we paid for that, correct? And if they don't, like if they decide, oh, I want to go to OP or something like that, then we
Yeah, what
recoup
recourse?
some of that, or
Yes, if they go through the academy and within that first year, they go to another agency, you can recoup some costs that agency can pay back
of the agency, that's
for
right.
that,
Okay.
for that expense.
Okay.
There's a formula, I don't know what it is exactly. It varies from agency to agency on how they decide how they charge people. And I know in some cases, they don't. So it's literally case by case.
And how much is the academy? I'm just curious.
It's technically free,
Right.
because the
Right.
the
We're
state
paying
bills
salary,
us and
yeah.
then we get refunded for it, but I can't remember what
Okay.
exactly it is.
I was
'cause
just
like I say, we've
curious.
only had 3 people go through it and the last one was in 21.
Oh, okay.
So most people we hire already have.
I was gonna say, yeah, typically I feel like we've been
So we would get a minimum of a year's service for someone that we put through the academy without having to go through the formula or the trade scenario.
Sure, yeah. I mean, ideally.
If they stay.
That's what, yeah, if they,
stay.
yeah,
Ideally, we'd like them to stay longer.
Yes,
of course.
yes, we want them to stay longer.
I mean, if that's the case, I'm fine with not, I was more thinking we're bringing more people in at that 1, but if we're taking their years of service, I think 1 being, you know, the starting pay, that's probably fine at this, and that's why I would do that at the 60 rather than 62, because I would say that's like your trainee type, or a brand, you know, fresh out of the academy type person.
And I think 60 gets us pretty close to, if you look at all the information, I studied this a lot over the last few weeks while we were going through this. 60 brings us on par with a lot of them around us, but yet still gives us opportunity to, in the future, keep going even higher. So we know we're gonna have to, as we grow, we know we're gonna have to go higher. So I think 60 is a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I've thought for a long time that we've got to get to a starting salary that starts with a 6. And 60 is obviously the bottom of that requirement, but this is going to have to keep going up because the competition.
Yep.
We're gonna lose people.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a step in the right direction.
Question,
Necessary step.
how are you gonna address compression? So you've got
So
people.
the compression is already gonna be addressed because whichever, recommendation we go with, I've already determined where the people fall within the steps in collaboration with the chief and making sure that we move people accordingly, so it's already been addressed. When we
Okay.
cause this salary resolution is gonna be effective February 1st of 2025. And when I go in and put on all of the, changes, it'll already be addressed that way.
So what would 60 put us at hourly?
60 is gonna be at, 28.85 an hour.
Yep.
So that gets us past Olathe and even with Leewood. So we're no longer in the bottom.
Puts us almost right in the middle.
Yeah,
Which is probably their.
Dead even with Leewood.
yeah.
The other thing I just wanna share with the council too is that, aside from we're doing this to the salary, one of the other like fringe benefits we have is we're paying for family insurance. So that's very attractive too.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't know if every PD does
Yep,
that, but,
that's a good
you
point.
know, they might just cover the officer and then not the family, but we do the
point.
families.
I would guess there's not many organizations that do that at all.
Especially
So
not,
that's a
especially not
plus.
long term.
Yeah, that's a big plus for
Yeah, for
somebody
sure.
with a family, you know, so,
Yeah.
very attractive, I guess.
Well, and this will help, I think this will boost morale and help with retention, which we've had pretty good luck with lately, but, I mean, we obviously appreciate our police department and all of our officers, putting their life on the line every single day for us, so we're very grateful for them, and I think we wanna show that in how we act up here, or what we decide up here.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments?
No, I mean, to me, it sounds like we're all kind of consensus at the 60,000 mark, so if I'm gonna at least make a motion to that, I need to say 28.85 minimum.
That-
And what's the maximum then? Oh, it's up here, sorry.
No, I didn't, I just put the minimums on there, so.
Oh, you didn't put the max?
If you look at the resolution, it's on there.
Oh,
But all I need is the minimums because they're both different.
yeah, I'm looking at the motion.
Motion, yeah.
Yeah. The motion talks about the minimum.
Oh, just, okay, that's, sorry, that's the sergeant's, my bad.
It's okay. It talks about the minimum for the officers and the sergeants. So if we're going with the 60, it would be 28.85 and 39.38 respectively.
And so rounded to 60 and 80. Okay, all right. I move to approve resolution 2024-R20 with minimum for officers and sergeants respectively at 28.85 and 39.38. Hourly rate rounded in favor of employees, so may be slightly off from 60,000 and 81,910.
To be effective.
To be effective February 1st, 2025.
There you go.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Now we'll move on to the next item and consider the selection of Paycor to provide human resources and payroll services software. And Mrs. Jones or Mrs. Dunn has the floor.
It's teamwork up here tonight. Good evening. Earlier in 2024, we implemented software from our current financial system software to handle payroll functions. We wanted to move from a paper time card system to an electronic actual time clock. And so we opted for that system, which is not going to be able to be our supplier long-term. It's simply not stable enough and creating a lot of havoc for us every payroll. So we went out and started to look for something different. In the meantime, Mrs. Jones was looking for some software and some tools for the HR functions, and so we wanted to work those things together, if you will, and I'll be happy to let you talk about those.
Yes, so in the course of what I was doing, I was already looking for a system for our employees to have a learning management system or an LMS, as well as some opportunities to digitize things like our employee handbook, our policies, maybe provide an intranet for communication so that we can get beyond just the emails out to the employees. And in the course of looking through that, as I was doing it, the time clock issues just kept resurfacing. And so conversations were had between myself and Rhonda about how can we best utilize the funds that I have in the budget for what I need that would then cover the time clock and we can get the most bang for those dollars. And then that's how we landed on researching some of these different platforms that would be able to offer all of that, as well as the time clock, as well as scheduling, as well as some different features that would bring the city functions for payroll and HR up a couple of notches. So.
Will this affect, because I know they had a lot of issues this year with pool payroll stuff, will this affect them as well and benefit them, I guess I should say
It
on
will
that?
benefit them. It will allow them a very robust scheduling system that also could be utilized in our Public Works Department. It can be utilized in our PD as
Alright.
well. So.
So I know I was talking to several people that work there, and they're saying they had to enter their time in this place, and then enter their time in this place, and then they had to make sure they matched, and then if it was off, they had to go get their supervisor, and it was just seemed like a big mess.
Right, it was very disjointed. This will be very much centralized, very easy, user-friendly.
One point of contact for the employee that, it is, an app available on cell phones or on desktop. And so the employees will go one place if they want to get a copy of their W-2 or look at benefits or sign up for some learning or clock in and out.
Look at our schedule.
They'll have one place to do it. In the research that we've done, we looked at several companies. We talked to different people in the industry that we know, and in the end, we came back to Paycor as the best candidate for this. They're well-known in the industry. James Campbell is here. He's our account manager from Paycor. If you have questions we can't answer tonight, he is here available. But we felt in the past, the Aquatic Center had used their scheduling, so we felt like that was a better learning curve for them. We didn't introduce a brand new subject to them. We have employees who have experience with Paycor, as well as we have paid from Paycor's time clock system for our Aquatic Center employees. We felt like every system has pluses and minuses, whichever one you look at. In addition to being one we had some familiarity with, it was also the lowest cost option for us as well, so it's kind of win-win. The cost per year is calculated on a per employee per month, so that minimizes if we have a check that's wrong, we have to run a new one, or need to run an extra payroll or something. We can do that without additional charges. We pay the same amount. It also grows with our Aquatic Center seasonal employees and then decreases when they are not on the payroll as well. So I feel like it's a good method for us billing wise. We did include in the budget $25,000 in the administration budget for the software that we needed for HR. That would cover the cost of this system in the first year. Actually, I think will come in a little lower the first year due to discounts. We've provided that to you. And then in future years, we'll have to continue to budget for those services to be provided. So based on that, we are recommending that we select and implement Paycor's system for both the payroll functions and human resources. Can we answer questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So what kind of orientation is put in place for like staff to know how to use this?
bet.
Because I think user friendliness is a big deal and it can create some confusion. So is there a video they watch or how does that work?
That's a great question. And when I look back at what went right and what went wrong with the first system, to me, it's all about implementation. And so we were very focused on how will this be implemented? How will this work? And so, yes, there will be training. It will not, it will be resources provided by Paycor for us. It'll be multiple sessions depending on what we need, and timing depending on when Aquatic Center employees come on. It was one of the reasons I felt confident in the way they presented how they would train our employees. And then there's always video and different, things that get taken for new employees that come on and things like that. The last system, we were train the trainer, we were taught and then we taught. And so we're not doing that this time.
So you have a physical, someone
Yeah.
from a representative from the company physically here.
That's the plan.
Good,
Great. That's why.
that's helpful.
Yep.
This will be a big improvement. My organization switched to a similar product like a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it's been a major upgrade for us, so.
Yep, it is.
This should be similar.
I think Mona Keisha's downplaying a little bit. We're really stepping up on the HR side. These are systems she does manually now.
Yeah.
And now it'll be all one system. So you onboard an employee over here and interview them and figure that out. And it goes all the way through to us paying them and getting them a W-2. And it's not redundant systems and entry. It's really an improvement. And to get a learning system, we don't have that today. So it's really bringing new tools to us we don't have.
It's much better with seasonals too. Like,
Right.
the seasonals are hard to get their paperwork. A lot of times they're younger, so they don't understand it very well. And it's just really, really hard with those particular employees. And when we switched, it made a huge difference.
Yeah, and once again, I heard from many employees last year at the Aquatic Center, they just said the whole process was really difficult. So, of course, they vented to me about it, and so,
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that we're making a change.
And my comments weren't meant to
No,
downplay, I know. But
She's not taking credit.
Yes, that's what it is. It's like, it's definitely a very manual, very antiquated way of doing things. But the focus of this, first and foremost, was to make sure that we got a better time clock system, and then was able to combine and get all those extra things as well to help take out that manual piece of it, so.
So will it be a clock in, clock out system or just reporting time?
It is clock in, clock out, and they do it on their phone or in some departments like Public Works, they do it on a iPad or something like that, a computer.
And they're gonna be processing the payroll, or are you still gonna be processing payroll through?
They will process the payroll. We will upload journal entries from their system to ours. That's the plan.
And then you'll pay out the actual payments?
They pay it out.
Oh, they're gonna pay it out? Cause I saw that it has and obviously they have the new debit cards and all that kind of stuff now, but.
Yep, some great options for employees depending, especially like when we hire all the young kids in the summer, they don't always have bank accounts and things. So they're bringing some options to us that we don't have
Yeah, for the
today.
kids, that's good.
But we're still internally verifying on the
Right.
back end, all the coding and making sure everything's correct, so.
Yeah.
Do they offer, health benefits through Paycor like the other large payroll companies do? Or you
No.
could partner with them for that too?
No, what they offer is, their system will talk with the system that we currently use to do the benefits, so that it'll still be one centralized resource. So when someone goes on their phone, they'll see a list of things, and one of the things would be like benefit enrollment, and they'll be able to click on it and go through when that's time to do it, so it'll all be centralized. So we'll still utilize the, employee navigator that we have. It'll just be able to talk to it, whereas right now, when we do a benefit enrollment, I get the information, it's a manual thing, I get the information, I verify all the elections, I send it over to payroll, she manually enters everything, and then that's how we process it, so.
I have a question. What kind of support is provided? And if you did say that, I apologize, I didn't hear you, but is it like 24/7? Or because half the times when this stuff malfunctions, you're trying to figure out how to fix it or whatever, is there, somebody always available when you call a certain number, or how does that work?
That's my understanding that there will be, but I will
I
let,
was like, I was gonna turn and ask James
Yes,
if he had anything.
yeah, as far as 24/7, that's not in what we've got right now, but during the process, we asked if that was something that would be required, because there are options to add the service model for 24/7 for your employees, but given that you don't tend to have, other than the police department, it doesn't look like there's 24/7
Right.
needs for that, especially from a management perspective. So it's 7 to 7 you get a
You have a help
dedicated.
desk or
Yeah,
something
you
that
got a
they can
dedicated
hold somebody.
service line that
Okay.
they know your account.
Right.
So it's not, and it's really gonna be more Monakisha, Rhonda, maybe a couple managers are really doing most of the contact if there's questions.
right,
And
so
I
in
was
terms
just
of
gonna
us
say,
having questions, I
this
think
is-
we'll be easy to able to.
This is
address.
what as an employee of Paycor, we use the same system that you guys will have. And so this is on my app. So all your employees, especially your young ones, the seasonal, that use their phone for everything, everything that they have with the, with your company or with your, city is to right here. And for your salaried employees, benefits are right here, company benefits, company directory, everything that they need to have, they can check it through their phone if they want to. Obviously, you can do it on a computer as well. So it makes it very easy for all your employees, whether they're seasonal, hourly, salary, to handle all their information they need.
One stop.
Awesome.
Stop.
Do they have to be in a certain area to be able to clock in or clock out, or is it?
That, yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
there are exceptions to that.
I was say we have a lot of field workers, so that's, you know.
Right. They all do come to the same starting spot in the morning. Like PD, they come to the first spot, but sometimes they work in a different place or they go to a scene first and things. So we have that to be accommodating to their job and for what they need.
But we'll still be able to see like where they were. So if there's ever a question, we can go back and look and see
Right.
where they
There's a complete audit trail on geolocation for all hourly employees that have to clock in.
Okay.
And you can geofence that if you want to.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Progress.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Sounds like we're moving in the right direction. So,
Agreed.
I'm excited, especially for the younger employees. I know I've mentioned them several times, but I know it'll make it so much easier. 'Cause when you're at your first job or whatever, it's already stressed enough, you know, trying to figure everything out. And then if you're still trying to figure out how to clock in, how to clock out, how to make everything right, it makes it a lot easier when it's a
also-
simpler system.
It's a lot better for directors and supervisors, a lot cleaner system of approving. It can all be done on their phones as well.
For sure.
Much better.
Give a nap.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have one more. Human resources, so the training, because I know like a lot of employees, there's like scheduled trainings. Is that included in this too? Like
that'll be part
sexual
of the-
harassment
Right,
or?
so that'll be part of the LMS, the learning management system.
That's
We'll
a
have the compliance things in there
Okay.
as well as what I wanted is to provide some professional development options too, so to have a mix of both of those. of
Okay.
Compliance and professional development.
Okay.
Awesome.
I don't think I have any more questions.
That's all right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agreement with Paycor to provide human resource and payroll services software and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
I've got a motion second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is consider approval of an updated Exhibit A to the waste management contract with the city of Spring Hill. Mrs. Dunn, you have the floor.
Thank you. Every year in December, for the contract that we have with Waste Management to provide trash services to our citizens, they provide a new Exhibit A. Per the contract, they can raise or lower the rate based on the consumer price index for their industry, for waste management and removal and things like that. And so they have provided to us a new exhibit, which allows for a 5% increase based on that rate. So per the contract, the new rate the city will pay to Waste Management is $19.99 for regular single trash service and $18.99 for senior citizens for that $1 discount. Just to go the next step, because this is gonna be in the fee schedule, we then pass that on to our customer, that increase. And it is a $1.15 increase, and their new rates to our customers will be $21.19 for regular and $20.19 for senior citizens. It has been reviewed by Spencer, which you would expect, and it does comply with the contract we have with Waste Management, which expires at the end of 2026.
Does the contract have another escalator at the end of 25? Like similar?
I think it's every year, right?
It's every year, right?
Yes, every year.
5%.
We try to get it implemented for January 1st so that they will bill us a higher rate in January.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Any questions or comments on that one?
So they're just notifying us. It's not necessarily, there's no.
This is our new rate. That's what we will pay.
Nobody likes rates going
Yeah.
up.
No, we have a good relationship with Waste Management. We work well with them. We've ironed out a lot of kinks over the last year or so, and
Service seems to be better too.
was
I
gonna say,
agree.
I do think service has greatly improved over what it was a few years ago. So.
Well, with the change to the arm trucks, yeah.
And a reduction of the number of employees that they need and things that have been pressures on everybody. There, I agree. I think their service is better. We take the price from Waste Management and we add 6%, and the 6% is retained by the city. So our cut, if you will, our profit, is 6% of the total contract. And for that, we provide kind of a second level customer service. We push them first to Waste Management, and then we problem solve typically the harder cases, things that aren't getting where a person wants them to. And so those have definitely decreased over the last few months. Once they got the new cans out there and everything kind of settled out, it's been much quieter than it was.
Ron, did you know, do they still have the, where you can tag, do we still have where we can get a sticker? Yeah.
Yep.
So it's Christmas time.
I think Price Chopper.
maybe.
Yes.
Price Chopper also says,
Yeah.
okay.
And then they still do bulk pickup where you can put out whatever once a month.
once a month.
And that's quite a
It's helpful.
benefit to a city. Not every
That's
city
been an
has that
issue, though.
option.
There's a lot of people that complain that they either try to get a hold or send the messages in, and we've had issues with that, so I don't know.
If they need to escalate,
I
then
think we need
we
to-
can assist with that.
It is, I've used it actually several times, and there's a couple times where I had to call back and didn't get them right away, and then there was one situation where I did, they told me it was one day, and then when I got an email, it said a different day, and so I had to call them back and clarify which day was the correct day, which, even though I knew which day was, they just told me a different day.
Right.
So, yeah, there definitely has been a few issues. 'Cause
Oh, I've called
personally
up
read
and scheduled it, and then they never came. But that was
So,
a couple of years ago.
but it has been nice to have it. I've utilized it.
Yeah, no, it's a great benefit if we can use it, so.
It is definitely, and it's not always free as a part of your monthly service like we have it, so.
And maybe we can pass these comments over to them that
Sure.
we have had citizens, because if two of us have had issues with it, I guarantee a lot more people.
Oh, no, I've heard from a lot of people about it.
So, yeah, if we can pass that along to them, that there are some communication issues with
We can
the
do that.
email and the phone number.
Yeah, only one time with regular trash, it's typically the large item that
Yep.
people complain about, so. It's great when it works, just like
That's right.
technology. Okay.
Any other questions, comments on that one? If not, you know the deal.
Move to approve the updated Exhibit A to the Waste Management contract dated 12/9/21 and authorize the mayor to sign the documents.
A second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of ordinance number 2024-18, an ordinance creating and enacting chapter 20 of the Spring Hill Municipal Code, providing for sewer system benefit areas and development. And Mr. Lowe, you have the floor. Mr. Lowe.
All right, so some potential new law for you guys tonight for city code. So this would be creating a new way to help work with developments and bring our infrastructure out into areas that we don't currently serve. So as a frame of reference, earlier tonight, you took up a special benefit district. It had to do with a road adjoining a development, and each of the parcels and then within that development are going to get hit with a special assessment that happens pretty quick right after it starts. As an alternative to that, the city's been working on a way to try to bring our sewer and wastewater services out into parcels that want to start developing in the near future. Very expensive to do, but that's also one of the number one drivers for convincing people to annex into the city and develop with us, as opposed to going with other nearby cities or just staying in the county and not developing. It's kind of the race to who can provide sewer is the first ones to get that land. So with that in mind, you know, the city doesn't want to go out and be dropping millions and tens of millions of dollars running up these sewer lines just willy-nilly. And developers don't really love the idea of paying checks to pay the city back for that right now up front, especially if they're sitting on agricultural land that they don't want to develop for 5, 10, 20 years. So we kind of created a process that looks a lot like a special benefit district with a couple key changes, and it's just for sewer wastewater. So this isn't for roads or anything else. This isn't water. It's just your wastewater sewer, which is kind of our foot in the door for some of this land. The process that this will follow is when the city identifies an area that we might want to run sewer to, we will come back to you and present you a resolution, similar to the resolution you looked at tonight for that special benefit district. And the requirements for that resolution are set out in this new provision of city code, but it more or less sets out, we're gonna run out this sewer trunk line and it's gonna serve these 5, 10, 20 parcels. And when we say parcels, for those of you at home, we're not talking about 5 individual houses on a 60-foot lot. It's these giant 20, 40, 80 acre parcels for the most part. It's gonna serve this total area. And if it's 200 total acres, each parcel will be divided up by their proportional share of that overall area. We're gonna design, construct that sewer system, and when those parcels wanna come in to the city and develop, or when they are in the city and they wanna start developing, once they hook up to our sewer line, they will be responsible for paying the city back for their proportional share. So if they are 50 acres, the 200, they will be responsible for 1/4 of that overall project cost. I hope my math's right on that. Okay, sorry. Lawyers go to law school because we usually hate math. That's the general thought process. So the city is, just like with the special benefit district we talked about earlier tonight, using our bonding power to go out and be able to borrow money at low rates and do these infrastructure projects as an incentive to get developers to come pick our city to develop in, with them to pay us back for the full costs. So there's some escalations in there over time. You know, future money is worth different than today money. So there's some escalators that are going to be built in for as bonds increase over time and that type of thing. But the positive is we're helping kind of bring developers to town. The negative and the thing to consider, and by the way, creating this provision of city code doesn't commit you to spending any money today. It's just kind of creating the vehicle to do this. But the policy question going forward will be, okay, the city's on the hook for this money. We're paying it up front. And expecting to get paid back. So each time we bring you a resolution, there will be a pretty in-depth conversation of, we think we're gonna get all this money back, look at this land, we'll go through it and talk about if it's really developable or not. We're not gonna run this 30 miles east of town and try to grab something out there. This is gonna be 30 miles east of town, might not even be Kansas as I think about it, so what a good example. But yeah, so it'll be that type of discussion each time. The resolution will have a map of everyone that's gonna get covered. We're gonna record this against their properties so that if a developer or property owner comes in 10 years and buys a quarter of land, they can't come back and say, well, we're not paying you because we didn't know about it. It'll be recorded against the property. When they run the title search as part of their due diligence, they will know about it. We're gonna be as upfront as possible. We wanna work with the developers on this. So it's a tool to incentivize development. Nothing's committed now, but this kind of is another vehicle to try to get creative with ways to compete with some cities that are larger and have some more money and incentives to throw around.
So it wouldn't be like a temporary bond, it would still be regular bonds. It's just a matter of kind of a back-end pipeline of money coming in.
Correct,
instead
yeah.
of not.
So the money won't come in, candidly, probably quite as fast as it does with a regular sewer benefit district. You're gonna have some cases where people wanna develop right away when this is. So you're gonna get, sometimes you'll get money back right away, and sometimes you're gonna have to wait 30 years to get all of it back in. Which will, part of that's going to be each time we bring you a resolution, we'll have that candid conversation with you of, hey, we think we're gonna get all of this money back and here's why. And you know, we're not gonna probably bring you things where we haven't talked to most of the landowners this will serve. Candidly, as this is coming through, we've already had some developers contacting the city, like, hey, this is a cool idea, like, tell us what this would look like. So you might have some pretty quick if this gets approved, you know, but yeah.
Now, would these be forced benefit districts, or do they have to voluntarily agree to it when we do it?
Sure, so the benefit district's created, and anyone within that district, if they wanna hook up to our sewer, they're gonna have to pay. So if they wanna leave it as farmland, or design a whole, I guess, development that runs on septic, they're welcome to do that. Don't recommend it, but we don't really get in that business decision, so it will be,
So yeah,
to hook up, you have to pay back and you have to annex to the city. So we're not gonna serve the county on this, and we're not gonna let you, hook up later. There will probably be a sunset provision on these, so it's probably going to be a 40 to 50 year. And candidly, if somebody wants to wait 60 years to develop just to avoid that money, like, sure,
Probably be ready to move on at that.
yeah, at that point, the sewer won't have much of a life expectancy left anyway, so it'd probably be a little unfair to expect them to pay millions of dollars for 10 years of sewer before we have to do it all over again, so.
And you said there's escalation that we'd put into each resolution separately on.
Yeah, so each resolution will go into, this is exactly how much it's gonna cost. And then at the end of construction, we're gonna pass a second resolution that says, this is how much it actually costs the city. So that way we're being as upfront as possible with all these landowners and developers, and they know exactly what it's gonna cost to hook into the city. They can budget for that up front. A lot of this is probably going to be looked at as prospective buyers or prospective developers. If they're going to look at a parcel and know upfront, okay, well, to finish this development, let's just work that into the cost. It's going to cost us $600,000 to hook in.
I think this will speed stuff up a little bit too with developers. They'll know right out of the gate, well, you know, I can't do this project, or maybe I can do this project. I don't know. So I think I think it's a win-win for the city and for the developers, so.
I agree. I think
And we're just approving the vehicle right now.
The code.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we might
Still
turn
turn now, you can bring
each
it to us
would have to
and say,
come
now we don't wanna do it.
Yeah.
Okay. You can talk.
I'll talk.
Yeah.
When these projects come up, we'll also be working with the developer on development agreements. So there'll be additional protections in there that we've done with other similar ones, saying you have to have 20 or 30 units or 100 units built within X amount of time. So that also provides the sewer connection fees that'll be coming in, which currently is at $58.25 per lot. So in addition to the construction cost, there's always the sewer impact fees that we charge. So all of that will be included. But you're right, this is just a tool, and all the information will be provided before we move forward with any project.
Could we retroact this with like the one we're doing up north with all that land that's open?
This is the reason.
Okay, I was
That
gonna say,
project-
I
may
wanted
be
to make
the
sure we
first
can
one you see.
retroact.
Yes, that's the project that's kind of pushing this one.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yep.
That's what I thought of right away.
This is something we've been talking about for a little while, and I think it's a great tool to spur development, but yet benefit the city, whereas bringing them into the city and really bring those funds, get some of those funds right away with the connection fees, and kind of spur developers to move quicker, and yeah.
Well, to your point, I think it allows them to make a decision up front, or
Right.
initially, where if this makes sense or does this not, so we don't have so many developers coming in,
Takes a cost variable out for them.
it takes a
Yeah.
cost variable out.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, credit where credit's due, Tyler Ellsworth also helped come up with this plan. So I know he's gone already, but yeah, if this works out, make sure to shake his hand afterwards. And if it doesn't work out, I'll take the blame on that. Yeah.
Are there any other municipalities that are using this kind of tool or similar, or are we kind of trailblazing here?
We'll be towards the front of this. I think Gardner or Edgerton does something similar. That's kind of where part of the thought process came from. So, yeah, I think you'll probably see one of these fairly soon in the next few months if this passes. And that'll be a really nice test case to see who gets on board. We've talked to some of those landowners, and the ones who are looking towards development really like this. The ones who want to leave that land ag were pretty non-committal, understandable. But
Doesn't affect them though, right? That's the nice part.
right, they're not going to have to pay
Doesn't hurt
anything. They
them
can leave
either.
it
Yeah,
ag.
exactly,
So.
yeah.
But yeah, this could help with some
If
of
you
those.
wanna sell, it's probably gonna be helpful, I would think.
Exactly. Yeah. So some of the landowners that are sitting on this as family land or that don't want to develop it themselves, and they want to sell to a developer. This has been a plus for them. Developers don't want to buy land that isn't served by sewer.
Yeah.
So it makes that land more valuable for them to sell, which gets things going.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? If not, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve ordinance 2024-18, an ordinance creating and enacting chapter, is it XX?
20. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 20,
Sorry.
Spring Hill Municipal Code providing for sewer system benefit areas and development.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Van Houten?
Yes.
Mrs. Feback?
Yes.
Mr. Peel?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Berkey?
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2024-18 passes 600.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of ordinance number 2024-19 and ordinance amending Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Chapter 3, Article 1 of Chapter 6, and Article 3 and 5 of Chapter 8 of the Code of the City of Spring Hill, Kansas, to refer all questions and fees to the city's comprehensive schedule of fees to be set by resolution. And Mr. Lau, you still have the floor.
Yeah, sorry for the wordy title on this one. This is part one of a two-part thing to bring you, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of introduce both of them. The city has worked hard, staff's worked very hard, and I'm swooping in on the end to present this. So staff has worked really hard on creating one comprehensive schedule of fees. so that all the fees are in one place. And if someone wants to know what they owe for any type of application, permit, whatever, they can just go find it there instead of, as you heard the mayor read off, all of these different sections of city code that each individually put the fees for each individual thing. So to get that resolution set up, we need to authorize everywhere there is a fee in city code, change it to, instead of saying the fee is $100, the fee will be set by separate resolution. So this goes through and takes out all of the specific code references to fees by dollar amount and changes all of them to almost the same copied and pasted phrase of to be set by separate resolution. And spoiler alert, you're going to see that resolution next. So if you don't like the idea of one big resolution, tell me now so that we don't do this ordinance. If you like the idea of one resolution, then this ordinance is the necessary step to get there.
I think it's always nice when we can, like we did with some things earlier tonight, when we can concise some things down and make it simpler and easier, not only for staff, but for the other people using it. I just think it makes it better all around and, helps, after all, that's kind of what our job is up here, is to make the citizens' lives a little easier, make information accessible, so.
Yeah, I think it improves efficiencies, makes it more streamlined.
Yeah, and it also makes it easier for you all to change fees. So it's quicker to pass a resolution than to do an ordinance and go change the city code, and you don't want to do that a ton of times. So this lets us kind of every year or two we can go back and re-hit fees and adjust them as necessary.
Any other questions or comments? Not, I entertain a motion.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm having enough trouble tonight. Here, let's see.
Gotta
Move to approve ordinance number 2024-19, ordinance amending Articles 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Chapter 3, Article 1 of Chapter 6, and Article 3 and 5 of Chapter 8 of the Code of the City of Spring Hill, Kansas, to refer all questions of fees to the city's comprehensive schedule of fees to be set by resolution. Got it.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, you please take the roll.
Mr. Van Houten,
Yes.
Mrs. Feback,
Yes.
Mr. Peel,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yes.
Mayor Berkey.
Yes.
Mayor, ordinance 2024-19 passes 600.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of resolution number 2024-R-21, a resolution of the City of Spring Hill, Kansas, establishing a comprehensive listing of fees and charges as authorized under the Municipal Code of Spring Hill, Kansas. And Mrs. Lau, Mr. Lau, still have the floor. Sorry, I was seeing Garrity and Lau.
Oh, good, yeah.
Find the two.
Bummer for you. Okay, so I promised you a fee resolution. Here it is. Less wordy of a motion, but essentially exactly what we talked about. One big fee resolution. Makes it clear for everybody, staff, public, possible public, whoever.
Are any fees changing or anything? It's all,
Yeah, that's the.
or is it just being, there are fees changing?
Do you want to go? I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Just highlight them,
Yeah, high level, you can. I was gonna say, it's a lot of pages, so.
I know,
Yeah.
so, well, I'll be brief, hopefully. So definitely, all of the fees are separated by each department. So as you'll notice, like the city clerk's office, that's mostly open records requests. And then we also deal with the licenses. Everything that's highlighted in blue is the proposed change that the different staff department heads are recommending that we go to. Everybody did research with surrounding areas or just updating these because some of these haven't been updated in quite a while. For instance, the beverage licenses for the state of Kansas, these are the alcohol. We were continuing to use $150 annual. Actually, the state went to a biennial license, so we are now correcting or updating, hopefully, our fees to match the state, and it will be easier for us to process those. And then our massage licenses, those were out of date because we do a background check, and that is costing the city. So basically, these fees is covering the costs if we have to go outside of just regular staff processing them. The utility department, it basically went through, if you'll see some red lines, this is to update the language that is in the code book to match it more to the fees. So if staff gets a question on where it reads in the code book where the fee is, they can go to that section of the regulations and say, this is the information on it. So it was just to really update the information so it's easier for staff to show somebody if they're actually looking for the regulation. And so the blue, yeah, so that is mostly just fixing the language. I don't think there were any, the sewer rates, they are requesting on page 10, the sewer rates would be going up to $8.75. And then there's a minimum charge of $20.40 and $10.20. But if you have more questions on that, either Rhonda or Jacob can speak on that. And then the trash rates on page 12, these fees reflect what Rhonda was referring to as what you approved earlier tonight with the Exhibit A. This will be the new rates that reflect the new Exhibit A. And then also, there is a delayed payment charge that we're introducing, a 10% penalty if it's a late charge on their trash bill. And then,
Sorry, real quick, on the trash, wasn't it $18.99 and $19.99?
That was,
Oh, that's our cost, okay.
yeah, so this
a
is the
different-
6% that will
Administrative fee. Okay,
go
cool.
to the residents. And then the community development, they are proposing to update their fees, and all of those are in blue. So the column that is, just says fee, that is what it is currently. And, community development went through and are updating their fees to cover their costs and the development fees. And let's see here. And then the right-of-way fees, that really needed to be updated with some new numbers and to take out language that was no longer current. Basically, it's now one right-of-way fee instead of these individual, like the street cut, because that will all go away, so all the red line will go away.
Okay. That was
And then the PD, I know that we added the animal redemption fees, and then they have some different copying costs, because they have different kind of records, so their individual records are in here. And then municipal court, they will have their section for what type of records, the cost of that. So that's basically it, but it does show all the changes that staff is proposing for these changes. And it's recommended that these be effective starting January 1st, 2025, so that we can start with that.
Is this where like the facility waivers would be and things like that too in here?
Mm-hmm. In the very last page, 36, the policy on waiver of fees and permit fees for community-based organizations. So the city administrator has the authority to waive that, or even some of the permits and licensing in the community development. Well, actually, they're all listed 1 through 8 in the community development department or the civic and community center. So that's where that policy is. And that was pulled from a resolution that now will be rescinded, and everything for our fees will be in this one document, which will be so much simpler for staff to go to, and our residents, or anybody looking for what our fees are. And so we can look at this annually, and if anybody needs any changes, we'll just be looking at one resolution now.
Yeah, one thing I had requested to look at is adding more waiver days for nonprofits for facility use. Has that been addressed at this or no? No, okay.
That would
Something we need
be
to look at.
in the
that a
actual
separate-
facility regulations.
Okay, so it's not on here.
If you want something like that,
These are just
that would be more in the
Okay.
facility regs. This is just the fees. It's-
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'd like to look at it, yeah.
Same.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, this looks good to me. I think we need to make sure we're covering our cost on everything. And so I know that was an issue we talked about. Heck, I feel like that was a couple of years ago. We talked about, especially community development we were kind of taking a hit on some of
We
those.
were
Yeah.
way under
Yeah.
the norm.
some of the connection fees and stuff,
Yep.
we were
Yeah.
significantly cheaper than.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're cleaning that up,
Wow.
because that was something that.
Actually, our I skipped this page. The facility rental amounts have gone up slightly
Yeah, I saw
also
that.
to kind of cover that as well.
That's what triggered it, just because the,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
If you don't mind, I'd like to comment on the water and sewer rates since no, in the past, we've always had a complete discussion about those. I thought I'd comment. We did not change our rates in 2024. We kept them the same and did not pass on any cost of living or anything to our customers in that year. So in 2025, to keep pace with how our costs are going up, we definitely need to make a change. And so we opted not to change water rates. We left those the same for 2025 because we wanted to focus on wastewater rates, and we didn't want to hit the consumer with both increases. We opted to change the fixed flat rate they pay every month and go from $7.50 to $8.75, and then make a percentage change of about 4% or so to the volumetric rate, resulting in a 7% increase. So if you think about 2 years of a year of no change, and then this year we've recouped that and moved forward. But we did not do that on water. We simply, on the trash, passed on the cost increase that we received. We passed that on because there's no profit margin to us for trash services. So I didn't want to gloss over that without you understanding what our approach was with the utility rates.
Are we still fixing kind of the sewer charge based off water, like in the beginning of the year? How is that?
Yes, we do, because we don't meter sewer. We don't have another way to charge volumetrically.
But we do it in the off season, right? Not during like summer.
That's correct. We change it in April based on January, February, March. And we work with the partners like Water One and Miami 7 and those that have citizens that are their customers and not ours. They provide that information, and we update it every April.
And that's fixed for the 12 months?
Yes,
Do we notify to say, hey, this is what the new rate is for the next 12 months?
not beyond the bill.
Yeah, I would say on their bill at least, yeah.
So not to skip over this, commercial accounts pay based on their water volume, because in general,
Every month,
there's changes every month because we're billing them water every month.
yeah. So for residents, that's what I'm
Yes.
referring to. Okay. So to make sure that didn't change at all.
Nope.
Didn't look like it, but
Any other questions or comments on that one? If not, I entertain a motion.
thanks for going through that, Linda.
Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. All right, move to approve resolution number 2024-R-21, a resolution of the city of Spring Hill, Kansas, establishing a comprehensive listing of fees and charges as authorized under the municipal code of Spring Hill, Kansas, further rescinding all other resolutions in conflict with this resolution.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. That ends formal council action at this time. We'll move on to announcements and reports. The one I really have, Hometown Holidays, was a big success. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people showed up. The weather wasn't too bad. Got a new Christmas tree. Had to get this year. That thing's huge and looks really nice. So glad to have one, because we were having a lot of issues with the previous one the last few years. So yeah, nice to have one that's working well. With that, Mr. Young,
No report?
Mr. Van Houten,
No report.
Mr. Peel.
I had one thing to announce. I have a personal conflict over the next 3 months on Thursday evenings, so I'm not entirely certain what my availability is going to be. I'm hopeful that I can make it to at least one meeting per month over the next 3 months. But I've just, something came up that this was the only time we could get this other thing in with us. So just wanted to let everybody know that my availability is going to be struggling over the next 3 months. So the other one was, I was curious about the fence that we had approved for the lift station at Wiswell. Do we have a timeline for that, or?
I asked about that too.
And I'm asking because I'm excited to see it. I want to see what it looks like.
You want me to catch that now or?
You can do it in your report if you want to. That'll be fine.
Is that it, Brian?
That's it.
Mrs. Feedback.
Yeah, I just have, it's kind of for you, Lane. Can you give us an update where we're at with 191st? Sure. The signalization, 183rd, and then, what Mr. Peterman had said about the shoulder, did that get reported to whoever it needed to at the county, or where are we at with that? So those three things.
Jacob will take the last one, I'll take the first two. How about
Okay,
that?
thanks.
191st Street, we have met with our engineer, Jacob, myself, and Allison, the city engineer, met, is it this week? Yeah. Okay, just a couple days. This week's been a long week already.
Oh, yeah.
We met with the engineer, went over the timeline of what we're looking at. We're hoping to have the first part of the information submitted to KDOT for a very preliminary review and discussion by the end of the year. We're hoping I'm asking for them to be done with the application and the submittal of pretty much all the design work to KDOT and the back and forth by the end of first quarter of 2025. The engineers tell me that may or may not be possible, but we're hoping by April-ish, we should have some type of feedback from KDOT on approval of that intersection, which will also give us time to find out whether we received any money from the federal government on that intersection and what level that is. If we get approval from KDOT, the design is completed, we would intend to bid that project in either end of first quarter 2025 or in second quarter of 2025, and hopefully start construction sometime in the summer. That's if everything goes well between now and then. There's always the discussion with KDOT that could slow that down a little bit. But we are working with Lamper Nearson on the design of that, and something should be submitted to KDOT pretty quickly. At 183rd Street, I don't know that there's anything new. Have you heard anything on I don't think there's anything new on that project, but once there is, we'll bring that back to the governing body to discuss. But if that project moves forward, then we're gonna work with that developer on the construction requirements for that intersection also.
So on 191st, you talk about engineers, so it's the Lamp Renierson that is.
Correct. Lamper
So are we
Nearson,
giving them a deadline of when they need to get it?
yes.
Because if the ball's in our court, I just want to make sure
No, we're pushing them pretty hard, and they're really good to work with. They had to do the survey work first, now they're doing some design work on it. Then there's an application process that you go through with KDOT, and then there's a review process. So that'll take several months to go through. We're trying to get that, at least the preliminary information to KDOT so they can start reviewing before the end of the year. And then probably the majority of the work between KDOT and Lamper Nearson and the city will be through the first quarter of 2025. It just takes a little bit of time to get through that process, and if we're real lucky, by second quarter we should be able to go out to bid that, and then sometime in spring or summer, if we're lucky, we should be able to start construction. That's the goal now. Some
Okay.
things can change that.
So just know after every council meeting, I'm gonna be asking where we're at with it.
Yes.
Because I continue to see social media blow up about it whenever there's wrecks or whatever, and so just be prepared that I'm gonna ask for a report. And if in terms of what's on our part, like, we're paying Lamper Nearson to do this, like, if, I just wanna make sure that they're making the
We're-
deadlines, and then, whatever happens with KDOT, I understand that gets out of our control, but.
We're
be
pushing
asking.
real hard. I keep asking for end of first quarter to be able to go out to bid. They keep telling me that's a very aggressive timeline, but we're gonna push.
I would rather be too aggressive than not
Keep
aggressive
arguing with
enough. And
Can
I
you
will keep
define how
arguing
you
with
push? I'm just curious, is it just like calls and emails like nonstop, or what, how do you push? What does that
We
look like?
have a meeting.
Oh, okay,
It's not weekly, but we have update meetings with them. We were talking about design criteria this last meeting, what we wanted within that intersection. And I think I've talked to a few of you about that this is a very high profile area that's seen by 25,000 vehicles a day. So it's a high visibility area, and that's something that we probably need to think about as we start improving this corridor. You know, what does that look like? And I think that's something over the next few months we'll be starting to come back to the governing body and ask those questions. What do you want that to look like? There's some neat things we can do. Hopefully they don't cost very much, but you know, do you want a wooden telephone pole there, or a galvanized pole, or something that's a powder coated pole that looks a little bit better? So I think those are the type of discussions that we'll have in the next few months, and which is good because, you know, we only have 3 or 4 months before this project could go out to bid. And so those are type of things that I think in the next 3 months we'll be really discussing.
Do we have actionable, oh, sorry, let me cut you off. Do we have actionable things in the contract that say, hey, we have this specific date we need this done by, and there's a recourse on our part?
I don't think we have any drop dead actionable dates in there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna go much beyond that first quarter. They hear us loud and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think all of us have, we've seen some projects in the past that were pretty high priority to us, and this is not throwing anybody under the bus, but pretty high priority to us up here, and they didn't seem to be as high priority to maybe other people, and so things didn't get quietly done.
Yeah.
And this is not against staff or anything at all. This is just typically with the engineering, sometimes, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and so we want to make sure we're pressuring as well as we can and as we're able to. I mean, maybe if we ever sent Brandon out there, I mean, he's a pretty intimidating guy. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll send Chief out.
But no, I think it's very important to all of us. We've seen all the accidents. I mean, probably every one of us is driven by an accident and I've never seen an accident on that intersection that wasn't just absolutely devastating. I mean,
Right.
almost every time I've been by one, the vehicle's completely demolished, and and we've been blessed that I don't believe we've had any deaths in quite a while there, but there have been some severe injuries.
And earlier this week, I reached out to Representative David's office, asking, you know, where that process is at, and we're still in the mix, but the federal government is doing what the federal government does. They're taking their time, and, you know, once those appropriations are approved, then we'll find out if we were lucky enough to get any funding for that intersection.
So at this point, KDOT's approved that we can put one, we just have to give them the plans, or that's what the review is that they are actually approving the plans?
The review process will be the final approval.
Okay.
They have verbally said they.
Initial approval, I would.
Yeah, they verbally basically said that, you know, that's a plan. They still have to review it, make sure that there's the appropriate turn lane, signalization, and everything that's safe. So they'll go through, it's probably gonna be a couple month review, 2 to 3 month.
Time on the
Yeah.
review.
It'll be probably about a 2 to 3 month process. And that's why it's important to get that first set of drawings to them so that they see what we're thinking about. If there's any major changes, then the engineer can make those changes.
But they're happy with the idea of it? Or they're okay with it?
They're okay with the idea. Yes.
But, and this has been a long time coming. I know I've actively worked on it for more than 3 years, and initially it was just a flat out no.
Yep.
And so we've come a long ways from there, and so we're in the right
And
direction.
KDOT is gonna be doing a new K7 corridor study along basically from 223rd Street up to 175th Street. And then they're gonna do some other areas of it too, but for us, that area they're gonna study, there's been enough growth down here, and there's been enough of us being the squeaky wheel and asking for this, that we know we need improvements down here. There's been a lot of accidents, so they've been really helpful in working with us. But we can't wait 2 or 3 years for that study to be completed, and then implementation in 10 or 20 years. So this is a good, I will call it a temporary measure. That temporary measure could last 10 or 20 or 30 years. At some point, they would like to see an interchange there. Interchanges, the difference is probably a $3 million signalization project versus a $30 million interchange. So this would be a good interim safety measure that would help prevent some of those.
And you guys are lucky that Lamprey Nearson is in the room tonight, so hopefully we lit a fire under the engineers.
Oh, good.
Well, I heard at the end of this month, you'll be done.
That's what I heard too.
Okay, so that's, I mean, I hear this deadline's pretty good and I hold to them, so.
You didn't have anything to do on December 25th anyway, did you?
At least looks like we're moving in the right direction. We'll just hope it keeps going.
And Chad's been very good to work with on this, so I don't want to take anything away from Lamprey Nearson. It's just, it does take time. At the very beginning of this process, before they did the traffic study, the day they were gonna attach equipment to one of the stop signs, there was an accident that took out the stop sign. So there are unforeseen delays that come up.
Mr. Grant,
No report.
Mr. Massey.
Just want to wish everybody happy holidays and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and be safe over the holidays, and that's it.
Mr. Lau.
No report.
Chief Henson.
All right, just wanted to give you an update on Blue Elves. We've had a wonderful response from the community. It's just been amazing. We have, I think there's maybe half a dozen ornaments still left on the tree. The gifts and donations, well, the donations, but mainly the gifts that have been collected from the tree need to be returned by the 16th. And then the families will start picking up the gifts on the 19th and 20th. So hopefully we'll have 7 families that'll have a very nice Merry Christmas this year. And then lastly, I just wanted to say that I appreciate the support and confidence that you guys have had in me. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with everybody in the city, and in particular, the police department. It's a wonderful group of people there. It has truly been a pleasure. There have been so many amazing things that we were able to accomplish within the PD that could not have happened without your support and trust. So I want to thank the community and you for trusting us. This has been one awesome ride. And but I leave you in good hands. Captain Khan is going to be the interim. He's going to take care of this place as well as the team until another chief is selected. But thank you so much, and I also appreciate the salary approval as well. The guys will really appreciate that too. And that could not have been done without Mona Keisha and Lane and Rhonda's hard work. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chief, for your service to the community and your many years of service to surrounding communities. We really appreciate you and everything you've done here. I think all of us have a great deal of respect for you and the whole department, and so thank you very much. And we're excited for sad to see you go, but excited for your next position. And it's kind of cool that it'll still be serving the Spring Hill area, just in a little bit different capacity. So, yeah.
I'm not sure how I can follow that. I just wanted to give you guys a huge thank you for everyone that helped out with Hometown Holidays. We had a booth there for the Safe Streets for All project that we're working on. We have a grant from Federal Highway at USDOT to create a comprehensive safety study for our SS4A. And we were able to have a booth at Hometown Holidays to introduce this to the community. We had cars that we were giving out to the kids so that they could understand, cards inside their goodie bags so that their parents could understand the importance of the safety study. And that card had a QR code to our website to give them more information. We had coloring sheets. We're going to create a yellow brick road out of the coloring sheets so that we can help create that path to safety. Next week, hopefully on Tuesday, you guys will see an email out from Kristen about a video that we are going to be producing for the Safe Streets for All, giving people information about it and talking about what the process is going to look like. We will follow that up with a survey that we will send out to everyone to get some feedback from them on what safety looks like in their community. And then that will include an interactive exercise for people to be able to stick a pin in a map virtually, help us identify some of these safety issues, the specific locations and everything. So hopefully all that will be included in the video, and we will be following up with some other interactive engagement exercises, and then hopefully complete the report by May of next year. So a lot of things are going to be happening here relatively soon. And if you guys haven't done so already, go out to our website, to the city's website. We have a separate page for SS4A. If you guys want to be part of the distribution list to get real-time updates, feel free to go out and give us your information. That way you can get those immediate updates as they become available.
Awesome.
That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk. Mrs. Dunn.
I just wanted to invite the council to our employee holiday luncheon. It'll be on Friday, December 20th here in the 401. And it's a really great time. It's a time to say thanks to the employees for what they do. And we have a good time at it. So we hope that you can attend if you're available. It's at lunchtime. And we hope we see you there.
Noon.
At noon. Yep. Lunchtime, noon. Yeah.
11:30, 12.
Yeah, something like
That's
that.
like
Something like that. So,
Depends
on who eats lunch. You come at 6, lunch comes earlier, so.
And just remind me, if you want to attend that, just let Ashley or Ryan know so we can keep track of a quorum. Thank you.
I would just assume, yeah.
Okay.
Hope to see you there.
Do that too?
Be safer.
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones.
No report.
Mr. Spear.
So first, want to address the issue that came up in citizen participation with Mr. Peterman and the conditions on the edge of Ridgeview. After the last council meeting, when he made us aware of that, I spoke with him after the meeting, and to better understand the issue, or I thought better understand the issue, I misunderstood. I took it to be immediately north of the high school, kind of mid-block. We went out and checked. There was an area mid-block near that mid-block crosswalk on the north side of the school that was really low, down and dangerous. So we added rock and repaired that area. That was my fault, my misunderstanding. So we'll go out and take a look at the area further north from 191st South and look at that and take action. So we did take action out there. It was just in the wrong location, and that was my mistake.
Well, and I think that area was part of the area as well. So I think he was talking about that whole area.
Yeah, my understanding was close to the high school, so I was surprised too when he said 100. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was that far north.
Yeah, and I spoke with him. What he's referencing, there's private drives on the east side of the road north of the high school. So there's 2 private drives. Wiswell is one of them, and he's referencing those in between those 2.
Okay.
Directly across from Wolf Creek Estates.
Got it. And then also the fence around the lift station near the Wiswell development, that has been an exercise in patience. So an update earlier this week from the contractor, he's still waiting on the material to be shipped to him. He believes he will get that next week and will install it just as soon as it arrives. So the current word is installed next week, but I'm saying that
a few days before Christmas.
So it will be a Christmas miracle.
So probably after the New Year.
You're calling this a Christmas present?
That's it might be a Christmas miracle at this point, but we're continuing to stay on them and get updates, and the most recent one is next week.
Jacob, will you call Mr. Peterman then after, because I mean, his biggest concern is he doesn't get, any type of answer or whatever. Can you just kind of let him know
Sure.
with that issue? I mean, like when you research it or whatever, I mean, he's saying he doesn't have anybody get back to him. I think it's just a courtesy if you just kind of let him know that you heard and you're trying to work on it.
Yeah, and again, that was my mistake. I spoke with him,
Yeah.
after the last meeting and thought I had it clear and thought we had taken care of it. So, yeah, I'll follow up.
Thank you.
With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session.
Really, guys, we can make this 10 minutes, not 20.
10 minutes, okay.
Okay.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 20, or 10 minutes.
It's like I'm doing 20 anyways.
Yeah. Screw you, I'm doing 20. 10 minutes to discuss matters of non-elected personnel pursuant to KSA 75-4319B1 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:53 PM. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons being in attendance: Lane Massey, city administrator, and Spencer Lau, city attorney.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
Got a motion and second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We will see you shortly. All right, guys, welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 8:53 p.m. No votes were taken or discussions or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, we entertain a motion to extend the executive session for the 10 minutes that we cut out earlier.
So moved. So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Before this vote, do you guys want chief in there? For this part of it?
I don't know. I don't care. I don't think it really.
Sure.
I don't think, I mean, I don't,
Yeah, I'd like our opinion on.
no.
Okay. Yes, okay, then move to amend your motion to add her as an attendee.
Move to add our motion to add Chief Henson to the executive session.
Second that.
Second.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright,
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0.
Now we have to vote on the motion to go into executive session as amended, sorry.
I entertain a motion to move into executive session.
As amended and returning at 9:05.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened into open meeting at 9:05 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. This discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session number 2.
I need to go through the whole thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's see here. Only 10 on this one,
Yeah.
we sure?
Are we sure?
On there, so that's.
I know.
10? We got 10,
So we're good.
15, 10, 20, 15? Okay.
So just Lane and Jacob, okay. In 10 minutes. Jacob, are you sure you're not gonna be okay. Yeah. All right, I move the city council recess an executive session for 10 minutes for the preliminary discussion of an acquisition of real property pursuant to KSA 75-4319B6, Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 9:17 PM. No formal actions anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance: Lane Massey, city administrator, and Jacob Spear, public works director.
Second.
Good motion, second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. See you soon. Welcome back, everybody. Let's see. Let the record reflect the governing body reconvened in open meeting at 9:17 p.m. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Have a great night.